everyone. It's time for some good news with Nanny Nicole.
Hey everyone, Nanny Nicole here, and today I want to share a story with you guys about how God's goodness just broke through my life. And that story is called a testimony. For 8 years, I was sick with a disease that kept me from being able to walk and talk most of the time. There were times that it would come out as gibberish, and there were times that I couldn't even get anything out. Or I would try to speak and it would be the wrong word. Or maybe I didn't know a person's name. It was just wild. So those were some of the symptoms. There was other symptoms involved as well. There were foods that I couldn't eat that normally I could, but it would make me swell to like a balloon in my face and in my throat, and it was very, very scary. But what I want to share with you guys today is about how God's goodness just broke through all of those times. And I think it's important for you guys to hear this now, because the way that I had to live for those 8 years is very similar to how we're having to live now with social distancing and being quarantined and being away from our friends. You know, I lived from going from the bed to the couch to the couch to the bed, and I had dear family members who helped me brush my hair, brush my teeth, help me bathe, and it was just, I was so grateful for family to be in my life. And I think that's part of the beauty of my story, part of the beauty of my testimony, is that it's not just about me or Corey, my husband. It's about the people that were around us and how they loved us, and they're very much a part of this testimony too. I want to say that, guys, I know that you miss your friends. You miss being able to go to school, which now the school year would technically be over even if you were able to go to school. I know you miss getting on the playground and swinging on the swing sets and playing with your friends and going to church, going to children's church and learning about Jesus and playing games and making the crafts. And I know that's so hard. And I want to say that, guys, I am so proud of you. I'm so proud of how you're handling all of this. It's not easy, and you get bored and you get restless at home, and it's even weird when you go to the store, if you go to the store with mom and dad. And I also want to say that one, yes, I am proud of you guys, and I know mom and dad and grandparents and brothers and sisters, friends and family, everyone is proud of how you guys are handling COVID-19. And the other part of it is, it's going to be okay. And this isn't over. Like, this is not the end. This is not how life is going to be normal as we know it forever. It's going to be over. And we're going to be able to be with our friends again and go to church and sing and dance and do all the things that we love. So going back into my story, I just was not able to do all the things that I loved. I love to sing and to dance, and I love to create. I'm very creative with artistic things, but you know what? I didn't even really know that about myself until I went through that sickness. God showed me. He took me through a time of discovery, a time of learning of who I really was. Time and time again, His goodness just shone through like the sun. And, you know, have you ever heard people in church, they're like, man, God's good, and then someone says all of the time? Well, for me, that was more than just a catchy saying. It was reality. It was something that I experienced very, very closely and intimately in my life. And I think that that's important for you guys to know, that you are so loved, And God cares about every single detail of your life, every single thing that you're going through. And He's going through it with you, which I know I say that probably every single video, but I feel it's so important. I think it's important because it makes such a difference to know that you're not going through things alone. And with God Emmanuel, which means God with us, He's with us all of the time. He's not going to leave just because things get hard. In fact, He's going to feel even closer, even nearer to our hearts, because He cares so much about us. You know, family was His idea. He came up with the idea. He wanted family from the very beginning. And so I think it's so important that we have those people in our lives that, like for me, they changed my life during that time. They took care of me and prayed for me and fought with me. And it was absolutely beautiful what God did in my life. And so now I want to go into how God was breaking through and what that looked like. Now, this is going to be October or November of 2016, and a dear friend of mine gave me this beautiful ornament, a bell, and she gave me a card, and the card, it said that, Nicole, you have watched other people live out their dreams and their stories, and God wants you to know that very soon you're going to be living out your own story and your own dreams. And I want to show you guys this picture from Beauty and the Beast. It's my favorite scene in the movie. And it's where the Beast is leading Belle into the study or the library with all of the books that are like floor to ceiling. It's just so beautiful. And this dear friend of mine, she had no idea what God was about to do, but she had a really good relationship with Him, and she could hear Him well. So now in December of 2016, during 2016, I think I need to share this. During 2016, I was part of this school in my church called Next Generation. And during that year, we just felt it was really important to pay attention to what we felt like God was saying to do and what He was saying. It was very similar to where it talks about in the Bible where Jesus only did what He saw His Father doing, and He only said what He heard His Father saying. And so, but before I go into that, I think it's important to say that there is no formula. There is no step 1, 2, 3, and then you're healed, or step 1, 2, 3, and then you have breakthrough. It's all about your relationship, your personal relationship and connection with God. I can't stress that enough. Because sometimes we were like, oh, well, if I do this and this and this, then this is going to happen. But that's not always the case. So now moving into the really, really fun part of the testimony where everything starts changing. So yes, I'm a part of that school, and the students go and we carol different neighborhoods. Well, I was having a rough day. I wasn't able to walk, so I was sitting in the vehicle, and my husband was driving me around the neighborhood with the group that was caroling, so I could still be a part of it. And I remember just getting so sad, and I was having tears in my eyes, and but there was a sweet mama bear in my life that she just got really upset about it. She got upset about the sickness. And you know, when mama bears get upset about someone messing with their cubs, you're going to hear about it. And so she looked over at her husband and said, "What are you going to do about this?" And it wasn't that she was upset with her husband. She was just really upset with the sickness and everything that was happening. Well, probably a week after that, my husband, he goes to our pastors and he said, "I'm really angry." And they said, "Okay." And he said, I'm done with this. I'm not done with my wife. I'm done with the sickness and living this way." and I know that God has more for us. So they said, we're going to pray about this, and we're going to get back together, and we'll let you know what we feel like God is saying. And so they told him that they were angry too, and that they were done with it as well. And we feel like, this is the pastors, we feel like we as a church family have made room for the sickness and made room for fear. And they used a word that was accommodate, and that's all that means, is make room for. Well, while that's going on, Jesus is talking to me, and he says, Nicole, I want you to ask me how I feel about the sickness. And I said, okay, Jesus, how do you feel about it? And he showed me himself, a picture of himself in the temple, and he's flipping over tables, and he says, I'm angry. And I'm like, okay, you're angry. My husband's angry. This mother in my life is angry. Everyone's angry, and we're all done, but what do we do? And so we started making decisions with God where we were no longer going to be okay with sickness in my life, with making decisions based on fear. Remember talking about that last week, that fear was not going to rule my life anymore. And so I remember on Christmas morning, we had breakfast as a family, and my sister-in-law made a wonderful breakfast casserole that had bacon and sausage and cheese and all the goodies. And I remember they were even trying to be careful how they opened the casserole, because even the smell would make me have an allergic reaction and swell up like a balloon and all of the things. And I said, you know what? Cut me up a slice. And they did, and I ate the slice, and I didn't swell at all. Nothing happened at all. And it was just, I felt like a lion came out of me. I felt like a lion just roared out of me. I'm like, I don't know what just happened, but this was a really big deal. And then we went to Christmas service. My friends were on the healing ministry team that morning, and I saw a picture in my mind of myself going forward and getting prayed for. And so I just double checked. I was like, okay, God, is this what you want me to do? Because I only want to do what you're saying to do, and that whole thing. And he said, yes, they have something special for you today. So I went forward, and as they were praying for me, I remember this really cool feeling on my spine, all the way up and down my spine, but then it also felt like electricity or fire. And then I didn't hear their voices anymore. I'm not exactly sure what they were praying, but I was in heaven, and I could see that scene from Beauty and the Beast, except it was God and me. And he's leading me through to see all these books, and I'm looking at these books, I mean, from floor to ceiling, full of books, and I'm like, there's so many. And he said, pick up one, take a book. And so I put a book in my hand, and I open it, and it's a book of me holding my children. But when I open it, I'm in the story. It's actually me. And then I come back to where he is, and tears are in my eyes, because to me it was like, this is a promise from me. You are going to have your children. You will be a mommy at some point in your life. And then I took another book, and the same thing happened, where I was in the story. Remember the beautiful card and the ornament? That I was going to be living out my own stories? That happened in October or November, and this is December. Isn't that so cool? So then I come back, and I see my friends, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I was just in heaven, and it was so beautiful, and it was just like Beauty and the Beast. And from that moment to today, I was getting better and better and better. I started being able to drive again, and I got to work as a full-time nanny, and and I love being a nanny. I just love that job. I got to eat all the things that I wanted to eat. I didn't have to only drink smoothies or juices or bone broth anymore. Um, it was just beautiful how God broke through my life. And I want to share this with you guys today because it doesn't matter what anything looks like. Nothing is too difficult for God. And when you partner with Him, when you hold hand in hand with Him, anything is possible. Anything is possible in your life. He just wants you to know how good He is and how much He loves you and how much He cares about every detail of your life. So that's my story. I know this video went just a little bit longer than the other videos, but I felt like God said this is a big deal, that you need to get your story out so people can start sharing their stories. So if you have a story of God's goodness breaking through your life, I want to hear it. You can share in an email through my website, which I'll share in the link in the description below. You can send that message to me and I would love to hear it. You can contact me through Facebook or Instagram. I am on Nanny Nicole 2020 on Instagram, and then I have a Facebook page that's Nanny Nicole. So if you would hit that subscribe button, give a thumbs up, favorite this, share it with your friends, do whatever it takes to get the good news out there because we all need to hear good news. I'm Nanny Nicole saying I love you, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye.